Ever wonder what the top 10 most expensive Buffalo nickel coins ever sold are? Well, number 10 on this list is the 1913 Type 1 Buffalo nickel, the very first issue of this new design, replacing the Liberty Head nickel which had been in circulation since 1883. With a coin depicting, to paraphrase former President Roosevelt, a distinctly and unmistakably unique American motif. Now, the design, as it turns out, had a critical flaw in that the date on the obverse as well as the denomination on the reverse were placed on a raised mound, or stated otherwisely, on the highest part of the design, where they would become the first items to be worn down in circulation. The solution was to put the denomination, at least, but not the date, onto a recessed area just below the buffalo, in so doing protecting it and creating the Type 1 and Type 2 1913 Buffalo nickels. This example of a Type 1 nickel was sold at auction in 2021 by Legend Rare Coins in a PCGS slab, graded as MS68 Plus for the sum of $79,312.50. Next is arguably one, if not the most popular variety coin for this series, the famous 1937 D three-legged buffalo nickel, identified by the fact that the bison's right front leg is missing from the design, between the hoof and the thigh, giving the impression of it only having 3 legs. This was the result of excessive die polishing, likely in an effort to remove clash marks from the reverse die, but in so doing, the engraver, or well, more likely a young pressman, went too far and accidentally removed part of the design as well. Legend Rare Coin Auctions set the record for this coin in 2021 when a PCGS graded MS66 Plus example was sold for $99,875. As the 4th lowest mintage coin in the series as a whole, it should hardly come as a surprise that the 1924 S nickel appears on this list, with only 1,437,000 coins struck at the San Francisco Mint in that year. Overall, and apart from that one issue, it is a fairly unremarkable coin though, to be honest, with surprisingly strong strike quality given the era that it was created in. Although the tail of the bison itself remains an aspect of the design that is almost never fully struck up. In 2016, Stax Bowers sold an example of this coin graded as MS66 Plus from PCGS for the sum of $105,750. The 1919 S nickel is generally considered as one of the most egregious offenders when it comes to a particular issue being very poorly struck. But this coin actually makes for an interesting case study of how conditional scarcity can affect the price of a coin, and why throwing more money at more numbers on the label of a slabbed coin isn't always the best idea. To illustrate this point, the auction record for the 1919 San Francisco Buffalo nickel coin was set on October 24, 2006, when Heritage Auctions sold this MS66 graded coin for $109,250. Now, the 1919S is a little harder to come by, but definitely not a rare coin. But MS66 is the highest known grade that coin survives in. And in 2006, when this coin was sold, it was the only known example in that grade, making it scarce, at least conditionally, based upon the grade. Fast forward only 2 years to 2008, and now there are 4 coins on the population report graded as MS66, and the price had dropped to $92,000 during the Baltimore ANA show. Now, to fully drive this point home, in 2023, there were 11 1919s Buffalo nickels on the Combined Population Report graded as MS66. And in December of that year, Heritage Auctions sold this coin, graded as MS66 by NGC, still one of the finest known, though admittedly the strike quality on this particular coin is weaker than on the prior two examples, but here it only fetched $26,400. In terms of overall mintage, the 1927 nickel from the San Francisco Mint is placed at number 8, with a mintage of 3,430,000 coins. But in absolute terms, the coin is only conditionally rare in gem grades. When this coin's lower mintage figure was made known, large quantities of the issue were pulled from circulation and hoarded by both collectors and speculators alike. The result is that in grades of XF and below, the coin is actually quite easily obtainable today. High-level gem grades of above MS64, well, that's a completely different story though. The auction record for this issue is a rather anomalous $125,350, set by Bowers & Marina in 2008. However, it should be noted that no other auction result has come close to that result since, with the most recent sale taking place in 2023 of an MS66 graded coin by PCGS only reaching $18,600. At 4,193,000 coins, the 1917 S nickel has the 12th lowest mintage figure overall for the Buffalo series. Overall, the coin is harder to obtain than especially later dates in the series. This is definitely true, but the true problem that plagues this issue is that of poor strike quality. Another commonly seen issue is the frequency with which clash marks can be detected on this coin, typically taking the form of letters such as those of unum appearing inverse on or below the chin on the obverse. Sometimes an attempt to remove these clash marks leads to the popular two feathers variety coin as well. A recent auction of this coin took place in 2023 when a PCGS graded MS67 example was sold for $90,000, although the auction record was set in 2008 by Heritage Auctions when a similarly graded coin was sold for $138,000. While the 1920D Buffalo nickel comes from a fairly substantive mintage of almost 9.5 million coins, the piece is scarce in mint state grades, but moreover, the true challenge for this issue is to find a coin with not only a good grade, but also a sharp strike with good details. A growing problem at the Denver Mint during this era was the fact that a lot of coins, especially smaller denominations, were not fully struck up. On this issue, it manifests itself in the form of weak details on the bison's rear leg and tail. The head is also a good place to pay attention to if you want a coin with full details. The auction record for this issue was set in 2008 by Bowers & Marina at their November Baltimore auction, when the sole finest MS66 example of this coin was sold for $138,000. More recently though, in 2019, an MS66 graded coin from PCGS was sold at auction for $50,400. An extremely elusive variety, the 1916 double die obverse coin has been called the most popular double die variety coin in the Buffalo series, although that hasn't always been the case. In fact, the first published account of this coin that at least I'm aware of was only as late as 1962, when it was mentioned in the July issue of the Numismatic scrapbook, and another 20 or so years would pass before it would actually become a popular coin. Though doubling does exist almost throughout the design. On the date, the chin, throat, feathers, and hair tie, the coin's hallmark is extremely strong doubling on its date, very reminiscent of the doubling on the 1955 double-die obverse penny. Here, strong doubling is seen on the date towards the southeast, with the best effects being seen on the last 1 and 6. High-grade examples of this variety are seldomly seen, but in 2022, a PCGS-graded MS63 example was sold for $138,000 by Heritage Auctions. But the all-time auction record was set as far back as 2004, when Bowers & Marina sold one of the finest known MS64 examples during their August Rarities night for $281,750. The 1926 nickel from the San Francisco Mint is officially the lowest mintage regular issue coin in the series, with a total mintage of just 970,000 coins produced for that year. A peculiar quirk of this issue is the fact that the die spacing for this coin seems to have been set incorrectly, with the two dies spaced too far apart. This leads to a lack of full details in even high-grade coins. To make things worse, the dies were kept in service for far too long as well, especially the reverse die, which don't have dates on them, so they could be used literally until the die failed completely. Mint state examples are extremely rare, with an example of a PCGS graded coin being sold at auction in 2019 for $246,750, although the all-time record was set in 2008 when Bowers & Marina sold an NGC-graded MS66 coin for the sum of $322,000. And then we arrive at the most expensive Buffalo nickel sold at public auction. This is the 1918 D/7 overdate variety coin. The 18/7 easily competes with the 1916 double-die obverse and the 1937D three-legged buffaloes for the most sought-after variety coin in the series. This is a coin that is extremely rare in mint state grades, as it was not widely recognized until the 1930s, by which time it had already been in circulation for at least a decade and a half. This despite the fact that the variety is fairly easy to spot as well. The underlying 7 is seen both towards the top right-hand side of the final digit in the date and inside both cavities of the number 8 in 1918, towards the right on the top section and towards the left on the bottom part. In 2020, a PCGS graded example of this rare coin was sold at auction graded as MS65 for the sum of $216,000. However, the all-time auction record was set as far back as 2006 when Bowers & Marina sold an MS65 coin from PCGS at that year's Denver A&A sale for $350,750. If you like this, then feel free to check out the top 10 most expensive Kennedy $half coins next. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.